The ZA Tech Show is made possible by Snapdragon, the all-in-one mobile processor. To win a tablet or smartphone, visit www.zatechshow.co.za/Snapdragon. And by Sharp. Check out the amazing new Sharp Interactive LED at www.sharpinteractive.co.za.
Good evening and welcome to episode 215 of the ZA Tech Show. I'm Sam Beckbessinger and I will be your host this morning. I have a little bit of a cold at the moment, so I might sound like a dying albatross. Please excuse me. Luckily, though, you don't have to listen to my very non-dulcet tones all evening, because joining me in studio tonight is the very hyperactive and attention deficit David Greenway. Hello.
How's it going?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Yeah. And you can find him at Dave Greenway and at the Tech Duel.
Pretty much,
yeah.
Yeah.
And also joining us is the lovely Mr. Stephen Ambrose.
Oh, I've never been called lovely,
Very
but thank
lovely
you so much.
And who we can find at Ambio and pretty much all over the interwebs, really.
All over the show. I try my best. Socially connected.
Indeed. And a very special surprise is joining us in the studio tonight is a mini Ambrose. Brandon. Brandon, welcome. It's great to have you in here.
Thank you. Thank you.
I thought with Mr. Greenway here, we have to bring in a bit of ammunition. Someone who also remembers half the manuals out there.
Well, I'm feeling quite intimidated, I must
Me
tell
too.
you.
Me too. We'll gang up, Sam.
Great. So, Brandon, I think that we need to start off with you telling us one embarrassing story about your dad.
Oh, no, this is a tech show. Okay. Moving on.
It can be a tech-related embarrassing story. No, Sham, I won't do that to you. Okay, but it's really great to have you join us this evening.
Awesome.
Let's get straight into the news, because there is quite a lot to talk about. It's been quite a juicy news week, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's been a serious week for tech.
Yeah.
I mean, between Google I/O, I was at Tech Ed Europe.
Let's start off.
And there's lots and lots and lots. The sleeper Microsoft is awakening. It is very apparent that Windows 8 is going to be an extremely, extremely significant release, because there's been a lot of talk about Windows 8 replacing Windows 7.5 on the phone, that they very cleverly have called the new version for the existing 7.5 phone 7.8. But the fact is that what they've done is they've unified the Windows 8 platform. So on a Slate, which I've got here in front of me, they were very kind enough to give
Hold
me.
it up that way.
Okay. Here is a Samsung Series 7 Slate running Windows 8. And from the Slate to your computer, to your phone, they'll be running exactly the same operating system. So for app developers and for anyone who makes apps, they write once, run on pretty much anything.
So was the mood very optimistic this year?
The mood was extremely upbeat. And what is interesting is that all the techie tools, all the geeky stuff, all the CIO backboys were going nuts about all the various tools and the new Exchange servers and the new Server 2012, which has got this whole Metro feel for a lot of the tools. And there's an amazing amount of buzz around making it work for enterprise. So everyone's thought, tablets are great for consumption. They're great for the CEO to take out on the road and look cool. But everyone said the biggest challenge that tablets have got is that they're not great for creation. So it's great to watch a movie. It's great to get your email. It's good to fiddle around and let the kids play Angry Birds. But it wasn't great to create long documents and everything.
Yeah.
And along comes Microsoft with a product like this, which runs a full version of Windows.
Absolutely. So I found it very interesting. I know that you touched on the new Windows 8 tablet, the Slate. The Surface. Sorry, the Surface last week. So we're not going to talk too heavily about it this week. But
big disappointment. Everyone was dead keen.
Really?
Are they going to show us the Slate? Because what they did as part of the whole event is they had a getting to know Windows 8 event on a tennis court out in the country. So we could smell the cows, the Dutch cows, and we could, we were all separated, the media, and it was really interesting. And they went through some of the deep technical aspects and some of the programming stuff that's built into Windows 8 and really showed us everything before they kindly gave us the Slate to take home and play with. And that event and that whole buzz and the focus around Windows 8 there really made it clear that there's a lot happening. There really is.
So, I mean, a very small thing, but when they launched the Surface, I found it interesting that they haven't given details about whether or not it'll be included when you buy the Surface, but it had that cover with a built-in keyboard.
I think it'll be an optional extra.
Yeah, but just the signal that they were giving by showing it with a keyboard, it was immediately reassuring, I think, for people who were going from a laptop.
There's actually two different covers. So there's a sort of thin polyurethane touch cover that sort of looks a bit cheaper than the other. It's only it's about 3 mils thick. And then there's a proper island style keyboard cover, which is exactly the same look and feel, except probably about 6 or 7 mils thick and has actual travel to the keys.
Yeah.
So I'm betting that you'll have most of the people who buy the Windows 8 Pro one, the one that has the Ivy Bridge processor in it and the full Windows 8, not the RT version, will actually go for the proper full style keyboard, because then you're actually toting around what is essentially a full 100% Windows notebook around with you, with Windows 8 and full touchscreen
and I suppose there is an argument that says maybe I don't want to. Maybe half the point is that I don't want to have access to Microsoft Word.
I was having a very interesting discussion the other day. Photographers are actually going to love this, because you've got a proper full-on PC that you can install something like Lightroom on, that you can take with you, plug in your digital camera straight into it. It's Windows, so it'll have all the drivers. You can pull everything in there.
Very slow, trying to run something like
this.
No,
that's what's so
it's
awesome.
An Ivy Bridge i5.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That thing's mad.
But that's back to the whole story about consumption versus creation.
Right.
This device here is a Core i5, 64 gig hard drive, 4 gig memory.
It's amazing.
It runs as fast as my laptop.
Incredible.
So to load real programs on here, things that can do real work, it's got all the inputs via this little docking station that you would want from a normal computer. You can add an external monitor.
Suddenly it stops being a toy.
So suddenly it's not a toy. It becomes a serious consumption device, creation device.
Yeah.
And
So
that makes a big difference.
Brandon, are you ready to throw away? I don't know if you've got an iPad at home. Are you ready to throw it away?
How I see this is, pretty much, because you got the benefit of having a tablet, which you can just unclip the keyboard, and then you've got the power of a PC behind it, and if you clip the keyboard on, you've got a full PC. So when you want it to be a tablet, you've got yourself a tablet. When you want it to be a PC, you've got yourself a PC. So I see what I get the feeling Microsoft's doing is they're sort of bridging the gap into the next gen of where PCs and where tech's going. It's getting slightly more involved. You're moving closer to your laptops, because you hold a tablet closer than you do a laptop, because it's involved and it's
very personal.
It is a very personal device. And I went to a launch this week with a new Lenovo. I think it's
A720, I think it was.
Yes.
Remember, I told you, he knows all the specs.
Wasn't there, but I followed it on Twitter. So.
This is why we invite Dave.
It was the hashtag.
We don't need to Google anything.
No, not at all. These are meet Google.
Exactly.
And that was epic, because that was, I think, there was a 27-inch screen which converted down, and you could move it around, and it was a full touch screen, and it was running Windows 7. But the general feeling was just hang on like a few weeks, and you'll have full Windows 8 running on it, full Metro, and again, you'll be sitting closer, you'll be moving it around, you'll be more involved with your computer, and then when you want to do work, you slide up from the bottom left of the screen onto your desktop, open Word, and you've got Windows again. You've got something almost corporate.
Right.
Slide back into Metro. You can play
the whole modular approach.
They had at Computex, I think it was Toshiba, had a 21-inch all-in-one display PC that had a detachable screen. So you can literally pick it up, your Windows 8 21-inch screen, pick it up, move it to the lounge, and it becomes your second screen for the lounge. Like, the whole family can drop it onto the table and play board games and things like that. So it's absolutely mad what they're trying. I mean, the good thing is that Microsoft with the Surface, they've sort of set a benchmark. They're like, this is what we're trying to do at the minimum. So if you don't match us, we are going to eat you in the marketplace, because they don't pay licensing fees, so their tablets will be able to eat anyone.
Yeah.
But if you can differentiate and you can make your product better than us, then you'll stand a chance. And that's sort of what Microsoft's laid down. They're like, we don't want everyone to just be doing standard basic tablets. We could do that. We don't need you to. So if you're going to compete in the marketplace, do something original, and they've thrown that out there.
It's very interesting, because the tone of this conversation has changed a lot in just the last 6 months,
Absolutely.
I think.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, they really are turning around quite quickly.
And I mean, a couple of things. What's interesting is the whole... Here you can see the impact of mobile phones.
Yeah.
Because the whole OS, the whole operating system and the way it works feels much more like a phone than a computer.
Definitely.
When you input on a phone, when you input your username and password to get to your mail, it just sets up everything.
Yes, yeah.
You get to Windows 8, you do the same thing. You put a username and password, and it sets up everything.
Yeah.
And they've also, this is one of the deep things they showed us, which is really interesting. What they're going to do for the first time, Microsoft, to make everyone's life easier, is they will handle all the hardware.
Yeah.
So the manufacturers who make Dell, HP, they don't want them to write drivers or anything to do with the hardware. Microsoft are going to do that and handle it. So when you plug Windows 8 onto your device, it will just work.
Well, that's obviously an interesting thing, because the manufacturers aren't very happy with Microsoft at the moment, or seem to be feeling quite threatened. I don't know if that came out.
I didn't get that sense. I mean,
really,
Dell were there,
yeah.
HP were there, and a couple of the big vendors were there. And look, I suppose you can't bite the hand that feeds you, and
Right.
without Microsoft, they wouldn't have a business
Yeah.
model.
Yeah.
Well,
But they were very clear, and this came up. A lot of the press actually asked some of the guys there, Mr. I forget his name. I'm terrible with names. But one of the head honchos who were presenting. And he said, not at all. He says, we are now setting the standard, and we live in a world where we have to make sure that it's easy for the consumer. And that consumer could be an IT director, but it must just work. The good
Right.
old days where you had to be an IT whiz just to get your PC up and running are gone. Here you get a PC, you put Windows 8 on, and everything works. Everything. I mean, it even found all the printers on my network and installed them.
Amazing.
Kind of like Mac did.
Kind of like Mac does.
Like 10 years ago. So let's talk about another company who hasn't had such a good week, RIM. Yeah, things are looking worse and worse.
So
aren't
their
they?
earnings call, they're down. I think it's since 2008. It's their first quarter that they haven't made profit. So it's looking rather bleak for them at the moment. Steve Ballmer came out and said, well, we'd love to have them if they want to come across to Windows Phone. So there's a lot of rumor flying around
Yeah.
that Microsoft's going to get a second, company hanging on to every single thing that they do. So they'll have Nokia, who today actually said that they have a backup plan, which
Yes.
I'm yet to see. But
Oh, that I
Android.
think that was a
lie.
complete,
Sort
it was
of
a
blown out of
complete read
proportion.
way too much into anything.
Exactly.
But
So
anyway,
look,
carry on. Dave.
So Nokia's tied to Microsoft for better or worse, and that whole Windows 7.8 thing is just there. Basically, Microsoft didn't cut off anyone with that, because the early adopters will buy Windows 8 phones again, so they don't really care about cutting people off. But RIM's got to make a choice now. They're either going to have to. They've delayed shipping BlackBerry OS 10 devices to next year now. They're laying off 5,000 people. They've got to make a decision. They either become a services company and start offering all of their services to every low-level smartphone in the world. So taking Android phones on and offering them access to the backbone of their network so that they can get cheap data out there. Or alternatively, they've got to pick up another OS, because if BB10 fails, they're gone. They're done for. They've got to have some sort of plan.
So winners and losers in the last year.
I actually don't think it's as clear-cut as that. The market is an unforgiving place, and there's no
Yes.
question that people are selling shares left, right, and centre.
And time is of the essence, and they
Absolutely.
seem to be moving
what
very
has happened
slowly.
to both Nokia and BlackBerry is they've completely misjudged how quickly things have moved. Completely. They've misread the market, and Mr. Elop actually said that.
Yeah.
He came out and said,
His
we misread the market.
Burning
Yeah.
platform
Which
memo.
amazes me. I mean, they've got
Yeah.
thousands. They've got research departments. They surely know what's going on. But
Definitely.
anyway, they missed something. They misread the market, and I think they both are in serious trouble. The difference is there are 120,000 people working for Nokia, and only about 13,000 working for RIM.
Yeah.
So if they downscale carefully and buy themselves some time, they've got money in the bank. They've got a 75, 80 million people using their system, paying them money
Yeah.
every month.
78 million on subscription, and they've got 2 billion in cash and cash equivalents.
You
So
see,
they're
got
they're
money.
fine.
Yeah.
For a
and
while.
They've got revenue of around about 3 billion per quarter.
Yeah.
So they're not going insolvent,
Yeah.
but they're certainly going out of fashion.
Yeah, but
Sure.
the cash flow is pretty much.
Well, that's the
tatters,
problem, but
Yeah.
they're fixing that.
But I think fashion is actually as much of an issue as well.
absolutely.
They're going out of fashion. It's my test is always for people I knew in high school. People who are not geeks and the phones that they have. And
Yeah.
the first of those friends have started switching off BlackBerry now, and they're the canaries in my personal universe of a coal mine for BlackBerry.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So BlackBerry, I think they realize they at a crossroads.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to see anything major this year. I think they can hang in, and I think they will launch BlackBerry 10. Though I might be wrong. They might land
They'll-
up in the Microsoft camp. Who knows?
Yeah.
They'll
But-
launch BlackBerry 10. It's whether it actually gains adoption. See, BlackBerry 10's their attempt at gaining back the smartphone vestige that is the United
Left, yeah.
States, where all the profit is.
Yeah.
So their big thing should maybe just be go after emerging markets and take them over completely, and just leave the fighting for
Which is where
Android.
they're still
They're still
Yeah.
dominant there.
Yeah.
I mean, the word is that they have over 60% of the smartphone market in South Africa.
Yeah.
Which is very realistic.
Brazil,
Yeah.
and lots of other
And
big countries.
India, they pushed
Indonesia,
out. I
yeah.
think it's $100 BlackBerry the other day. It's
two
Yeah.
weeks
the
ago,
90.
yeah.
I think the 9220 or something
So
like that.
I don't think right off, the bottom line here is don't write off BlackBerry just yet.
Yeah.
They're hurting badly.
Yeah.
I think Nokia, if you want to talk about a company that's in serious trouble because their costs,
Yeah.
they're burning money at a rate.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they're
they're
also
just
they're
so
starting
massive.
to get rid of people now as well. They're starting to
Yeah.
make
Bit
late.
redundancies and things.
Bit late. But anyway, Microsoft are
Yeah.
in there, and you never know. You might find it's Microsoft Nokia. Or
Mockery. Yeah.
Microkia.
Mockia.
Microkia.
Microcare.
Leave that to the marketers.
So yeah, maybe not the tech guys. Okay,
Yeah.
so changing the subject completely. Who likes free things?
I love free things.
Not me.
Me.
hate
Well,
paying.
your life is filled with free phones,
Yeah.
Stephen. You're over them now.
Sorry, what are you
I
playing with
lie.
there?
I lie. I like
Okay, yeah,
things
it's your little
as much
free
as everyone. Yeah,
Samsung
my-
Slate thing. Okay, so we have some. We very excitingly, we are very happy to announce we have a brand spanking new sponsor on the show. I'm going to offer to spank them myself.
This is getting really interesting.
Sorry, Snapdragon from Qualcomm. And Snapdragon powers the leading smartphones and tablets. So they're being very generous and offering to give out one tablet or smartphone a week. So
Wow.
lovely listeners and community of the ZA Tech Show, if you want to get your grubby paws on one of these awesome tablets or smartphones, you just need to head on down to zatechshow.co.za/Snapdragon. And we are very proud and very happy to have them on board. Clearly, they have very good taste in podcasts. So great having them along. Back to the news. Another company that has had a lot to talk about this week is the Goog. So
We do love the Goog.
the Goog. Yeah, lots and lots coming out. So let's talk about Jelly Bean, which I wish
Why
they called
not?
Jelly Belly, just because it's the best Jelly Bean.
Yeah, but that would be, they'd probably get sued, and I
Yeah,
don't think they're in the
I know.
mood for more lawsuits at this point in time.
Wow, their lawyers are sitting around twiddling their thumbs.
There was a stat, I think it's $24 billion got spent just on legal fees last year. Just on legal fees
companies.
between the tech companies.
All of our copyright
So,
and patent laws. need to
Exactly,
reform,
$24 billion that
Our
could
case
have
got
gone to
chucked
like
out last week and
intervention.
the judge basically said, "Guys, really, it's enough."
Yeah.
Those
Apple
were
and-
on the
yeah.
docket.
Apple
not
and
have
Motorola,
anything
she said,
else.
it's enough, really. You can't even prove what you're talking about and get out of my face kind of thing. Which
That's
is
great.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So Jelly Bean.
So, I mean,
Coming fast.
Google Now looks quite interesting.
Yes.
And the attempt to kind of match Siri with a nameless entity who's apparently quite robotic sounding.
I think it actually goes one better than Siri, because Siri, you actually have to ask it something.
Yes.
Google Now pushes content to you. So it's like you're on a trip, you've planned your destination, you've been searching for, Amsterdam for the last 6 months, and you're on your way to a train station that has like trains that go towards Amsterdam, and
Yeah.
just because it's Google, they know everything you've been doing on the internet, and they just push to you. They're like, hey, there's a train leaving for Amsterdam in
Yeah.
27 minutes at this stop. Would you like to buy a ticket?
Right.
Like it's going to be pushing, and it's going to be like, you're a Manchester United fan. Well done. Here's the latest football scores or
really
whatever. And
awesome,
it'll push
yeah.
everything to you.
Do you know, I mean, I think I'm just very excited to see Google tackle this sort of thing because that's where they come from. They
Yeah.
understand personalization. So it's going to be very interesting to see
Interestingly,
what that looks like.
that's actually not true. They've failed at personalization and the whole social thing quite considerably.
Well, social,
Google
yeah.
Plus, personalization and social tends to run.
Right.
you
I was
know, the
thinking
go-
more in the advertising sense. but-
Yeah, true.
Giving
in the
you what you're
advertising
looking
stage, but that's
Yeah.
search. They
Yeah.
are masters
Yes.
of search,
Yeah.
and they're using the same sort of algorithms and the same sort of intelligence
Mm.
in voice recognition and the whole Siri-like
Yeah.
interface. And I've read a lot of reviews that say they actually find it far superior to Siri.
Very
The
interesting.
breadth and the depth of the responses and the correctness and appropriateness
Yeah.
of responses
Yes.
is far superior
Yeah.
to Siri.
Yeah.
And when you think about their database, I mean, their database is the internet.
Yes.
Who
Yeah.
organizes the internet better than Google?
Absolutely.
I mean, Bing
Yeah.
does a good job, no question,
With
but
some things, yeah.
nobody does
Yeah.
it better
I
than
find
Google.
Bing image search better than Google's.
Yeah,
The
I
but
also
layout,
find that,
the
yeah.
layout, no
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
the thing is that now Google's got its little graph going on where they have 450 million people's email. They've got, X many million people on. I think it's half of that have gone onto Google Plus now officially.
Well, they're
registered.
the number one site on the web.
Exactly. Still the number one site. 90%, 97 or something percent of the search in South Africa gets pushed through them. So if you look at the amount of information that they have just about me, my Gmail is open permanently all day, every day. So every single thing I do somewhere, they're tracking me. In fact, I actually downloaded a little plugin and I'm watching what
Chrome,
they're doing.
don't you?
I use Google Chrome on,
And you're logged
on
into
Android.
Chrome,
Oh,
so-
you're
And
logged
now-
into
Chrome.
And now on iPhone, you use
Exactly.
Chrome as well.
Everyone
Yeah.
uses. The truth is that Google knows so much about me just permanently. I have absolutely no problem with it because if they're willing to serve me ads that actually make sense to me, then I'm fine with it.
Definitely.
But I think I got one for spam earlier today. I don't understand where that came from, but actual spam, the canned ham stuff, not like spam, real actual canned ham spam kind of stuff.
That's amazing. They don't know you're Jewish.
They really don't. You'd think with all the information they
All
would
of
have.
that, they should have picked it up.
Yeah.
Someone should have
But
somewhere.
the Google now is that, I don't know, sorry, my background is that I'm editor of a website called techhuman.com, and we reviewed the Motorola Razr a little while ago, and that's got something called Smart Actions. And that did a similar thing to Google Now. It tracked where you were, put your phone into silent, offered calendar entries. It was a very, very smart interaction with your device. And what I think was, well, to be honest, that was what I found the coolest bit of the entire phone. There are now, I think, better, smarter phones on the market, the HTC One S, for instance, but none of them have that little piece of software, which is pretty awesome. But now with Jelly Bean, they're all going to have that. They're all going to be integrated into a level where your phone's watching you, your phone knows what you're doing, and knows what you want to do, and it knows where you're going to be.
Yeah.
So the Razr, I don't know, I feel that it was just sort of like,
It's a little bit ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Well, no, well, yes, but now it's in a bit of trouble because it doesn't really have anything else going for it now.
Yeah, well, they just need to keep innovating, I suppose.
But
Yeah, I must say it's making me feel a bit nostalgic about Android. I moved over to the dark side of the iPhone about 3 months ago. I know, horror. It's because of I bought the iPad, and then I thought, well, I want them to play nice together. And
But now there's Chrome for that.
Chrome. And like the iPhone is a good phone. It's okay, but I'm really, really missing the
It's
Android
so interesting. I
ecosystem.
saw a tweet the other day where someone said the iPhone is like a supermodel at the age of 50, still hot but aging.
That's great.
And that's a great analogy. There's no
Yeah.
question that, and I've been playing with iOS 6.
Yes.
And maps don't work in South Africa yet, by the by. They're quite cool. They
Yeah.
are 3D if you're in New York, but not here.
Yeah.
And they've freshened it up quite nicely. But it seems that Google have really taken the fight much, much, much closer.
Yeah.
Because, again, I haven't played with Jelly Bean. No one has yet
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
But everyone who's reviewed it said the smoothness and the batteryness of it.
That's
Yeah,
always
well,
been
they-
Apple's thing. Apple's
Apple
thing
always
has
was
been
smooth and liquid
Butteriness.
feeling.
Well,
good
that
word.
was their project. They said to make everything, but they now run the OS, I think, at like 60 frames per second, and the
Right.
research team called it Project Butter. So that's
Yeah.
look. Here's the thing: is that while iOS seems to be getting more and more bloated and more slow, Google has taken from 3.0. They took down to ice cream sandwich. They cut a lot out. They made it a lot smoother. They took away a lot of interference, and a lot of the skins that were put on top of it started becoming more and more light. And now with Jelly Bean again, they've gone and literally they had one of those red cameras that runs at 300 frames per second,
Yeah.
and they were showing a Nexus S next to the Galaxy Nexus next to a Galaxy Nexus running Jelly Bean, and they pushed the home button, and you can actually see. Obviously, there's this is at 300 frames per second, and your eyes can't see this, but you will feel it, and you can see literally how the transformation takes half as much time. And it's fascinating to see a company like Google getting so into UI when they're really not a UI company. They're a search
I
company.
think every company has to be a UI company now. Yeah.
Now they have to. And
Yeah.
my favorite part of Jelly Bean is actually the notifications, because there's now notifications actually serve up more information. You can take 2 fingers and scroll down on a notification, and it'll actually open up a sort of preview for it. So it says you've got a mail. You swipe
Right,
down with
yeah.
2 fingers, and it previews the mail in your
It's
notifications
just
bar.
interesting because I've been listening for the last year to people reviewing phones saying, Android is nearly at the point where it can compete with an iPhone. It's nearly there. It's nearly there. And actually, I think it's been there. It's been there
Yeah.
for, at least since Ice Cream Sandwich. Yeah. So I'm feeling a little bit sad.
I don't know. I kind of have to disagree with that.
Really?
When you pick up your iPhone and you put your SIM card in, you plug it into your Mac. Everything just works so smoothly.
I miss the control. Yes, it works.
Yes.
But
If you're
As
a
a
bit
geek,
geeky,
as a geek,
you do miss
don't
that.
touch
Yeah.
the iDevices
Yeah.
because you will feel lacking. You'll feel like you should be delving into something a bit
Yes.
more.
Yeah.
But one thing Apple does do, and I know this is the ZA Tech show is known as the Apple show, certainly when certain guys are here. Apple is an incredibly comfortable and well thought out walled garden. They leave nothing to chance. It always just works. The average user just is instantly comfortable.
Yeah.
And the learning curve is so low.
Yeah.
Whereas Windows 8 and even Android's got to come a long way. But even now, with Android 4.0 or Ice Cream Sandwich, you still run into the little geekinesses,
Yeah.
which I love.
Yeah.
But it drives people mad. For example, my father comes to me all the time. He says, Stephen, I don't know what's with this phone. He says, but the stuff disappears. I said, what do you mean it disappears? No, the date's gone. I said, what do you mean it's gone? It's gone. I didn't touch it. It's gone. What he must have done when he put it in his pocket is accidentally swipe it off the screen.
Yeah.
No screen lock. Little thing. So it just
Strange. Hey?
disappears.
My dad doesn't do that. It's,
I don't do
it's very
But my
weird.
dad does that. And it's those little geeky things that drive people nuts.
Yeah.
Whereas you don't get that on iOS and on Apple.
Right.
So I think they've got an edge and they've got a market.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. There seems to be, it's a 3-horse race, really. Looks like Windows is coming up big time.
Yep.
Android is certainly innovating amazingly fast
Yeah.
and iterating quickly. That's what's so amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it just felt like yesterday that they brought out Ice Cream Sandwich.
That-
And
that
now,
they're still rolling out ice cream sandwich
Yeah.
too in most of the world.
well, I saw a
Absolutely,
stat
yeah.
today, only 8% of phones
Yeah.
in the world have got Ice Cream
Something
I think
Sandwich,
Yeah.
it's
which is
40 something.
That
really
is-
Apple played up
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
That is one big advantage of
and
it.
now they're
Yeah.
on the next one.
Yeah.
So, but the iteration itself creates massive growth in the quality of the tech. So it's
Definitely.
exciting stuff.
Yeah. So lots else happened this week. What should we pick on next?
We can still go Google. They released a 7-inch tablet.
They did.
It's very nice and shiny.
Okay. Tell us about the
Fantastic.
shiny 7-inch Google tablet.
So Google obviously only releases stuff that they make for themselves under the Nexus brand. So the Galaxy Nexus phone. They've now
Who
got
manufactured this one?
this
it
is
Samsung?
Asus.
Oh.
And funnily enough, apparently Andy Rubin was interviewed. That's the head of mobile, I think, at Google. He said that Asus was given 4 months to do this.
Well.
And they literally, in 4 months, they managed to get this thing together. It's $200 for an 8 gig version. Comes with a Tegra 3 processor, 1 gig of RAM, 1280 by 800 display. It's literally a top spec tablet at a Kindle Fire price. And they're going in there literally to destroy Amazon at the bottom end of the tablet market.
Yeah.
They literally want to walk in there and take everyone who wants a tablet and who's willing to spend a minimal amount. They want this. And the reason that they'll do better than Amazon, they may not match on the content of Amazon, but what they will do is it's vanilla Android, so people will be able to do a hell of a lot more with it because Android's a very closed ecosystem. They took Android and walled it in somehow. What they'll be able to do with this is they make money off two different things. Amazon only makes off of its services. So the Amazon Kindle Fire was basically a giant window into the Amazon store.
Yeah, they lose money every time they sell a Kindle
Exactly.
Fire.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Firstly, Google said that they're selling this at direct cost, so they're not losing a cent. They're not making money, but they're not losing a cent. The two things that they gain from this, anyone who buys stuff through the Play Store, they're making money off of that. And the other thing is, you're searching through Google the entire time you're on this thing, and that's
Right.
where they make money. They're serving ads. They're getting more search information
You're
on you.
probably searching off Google anyway.
Exactly. No, but that's the thing, is that little search bar that just sits at the top with the
Yeah.
little voice search is all through Google. So they're going to make money off of search there again.
I don't know. I felt that that Amazon store was sort of killed when Play launched with movies and music, and
Yeah.
now yes, they don't have the full range of Amazon, but they have got a massive range and it's growing
Yeah.
really quickly.
You can
because
now
who's going
rent
to say no to
in the
Google
States,
to
yeah.
serve their stuff?
In
Yeah.
the States, you can rent and buy TV shows now on Play. They're catching up hell of a fast, and they're taking Amazon. They've got their little EC2 competitor now as well, so they're going to try and trump Amazon at their own game and start hosting
Yeah.
half the world's web.
But here's the thing, though: why a 7-inch tablet? I know it might be a bit cheaper to
Price.
make and all the
It was
Price point.
definitely a
Yeah.
price.
7 inches.
Price
is
point.
just
I think
such
the
a
magic
fabulous-
price point was $199.
Yeah.
And they said that's where they started. They said, right, $199, we need to make $20 profit, make us a tablet or something like that.
Yeah.
And 10 inches, there's a strong rumor that in the next week or two we're going to see a 10-inch Amazon tablet. But it was definitely a price point.
Yeah.
And now everyone says Apple are going to release a 7-inch tablet. I've put my head on it and said, no, they're not. But there's
have to
big
agree with
rumor
you.
that Apple are going to bring out a 7-inch tablet to compete. But Apple don't
They tend
compete.
to, they tend to not fragment
don't.
their
No.
ranges as well.
And they don't compete.
Although
They
they've just
either
fragmented
innovate-
their laptops a lot, so
Not really.
No.
They've just shown us where we're all going.
Work a little harder,
Updated
son,
what they
and you
got,
can have this.
And then they showed us the future of laptops.
the
Yeah.
problem is that the hardware actually can't. Anantech ripped apart one or whatever and had a look at how much stress it's putting on the actual hardware, and they were saying that both the Ivy Bridge onboard graphics and the NVIDIA Kepler graphics cards, both of them can barely handle that Retina display.
No
that it's
doubt.
running at like
Yeah.
25 frames a second or something, and it's
and
killing
heat
them.
becomes an issue.
Exactly, and the actual hardware cannot compete with that display.
But that's a timing thing.
Yeah.
They've pushed the envelope. They know they're not going to sell
Yeah.
out.
It's
a
like
whole
the
hell of
first
a lot of
generation
them.
MacBook Air. It was terrible. It was
Yeah, that
terrible
one was
in
really bad.
comparison.
But it fit in an envelope.
Exactly, and look what they've made out of it all of a
No,
sudden.
I
And
just
3
don't
years
think
down
Apple
the
are
line,
in the business of competing at
Yeah.
the bottom end of the market.
Yeah.
they don't
It's
care.
not something they do. And if people want to bring out $100 tablets and sell tons of them, that's their business.
Sure.
But it's not Apple's business.
Apple competes on cheaper stuff by making last year's stuff cheaper. They go and
That's a
make the
different-
iPhone
Which
3GS
is a
$99.
brilliant model
Exactly.
to work on if
Yeah.
you think about.
Yeah.
Very different model.
Yeah, much
But
different.
Google really have done some amazing things. The Nexus 7, again, I'd love to get one in my hands, but we will shortly. Looks like a seriously good tablet. And interestingly, this week I got when I got back, they delivered a Huawei or Huawei, however
I
you
think it's
pronounce
Huawei.
it.
Huawei.
Huawei.
7-inch tablet
Yeah.
with a full aluminium body. Apparently, it sells for less than $2,000. It's got the same resolution screen as the Nexus. All right, it's
Yeah.
running an old, no jelly beans. I think it's running, Froyo or some older version.
2.2 or
But
3.
it comes with a
2.3,
3G SIM built
Yeah.
in,
It's
3G
2.3.
built in,
Yeah.
with all the ports,
Yeah.
cameras fore and aft, for less than $2,000. So if you want an inexpensive
I'm checking
tablet,
on that less than
the
$2,000
Nexus
thing.
7
Yeah.
is not the only game in town, although it's a big. I mean, first Microsoft with the Surface make their own hardware.
Yeah.
Then Google with the Nexus 7 making their own hardware.
Yeah.
But interesting. I think we're going to
Very,
see a lot
yeah.
more of this coming from a lot of people.
So we've got the chat room sort of asking us to talk about another Google thing. It wasn't announced in the last week, but there's been a lot of talk about it in the last week. Google Glasses. Or what are they
Google
called?
Glass
Google
is the official
Glasses.
program.
Glass,
Google Glass, yeah.
Yeah. What do we think about Google
So
Glass?
midway through his presentation, the guy gets interrupted by Sergey Brin, who jumps up on stage and he's like, "I've got a very time-sensitive thing that I have to do." And they cut to a Google Hangout of 5 guys in a blimp above Moscone Center in San Francisco who are busy using Google Glass. They've got little cameras on the front of their
Yeah.
specs, and they jump out and do like a quick little skydive down to the Moscone Center. Then people use bicycles and drive through the whole place and deliver the glasses up to him on stage.
Yeah.
And basically what they've done now is they've made it available to pre-order for any of the devs who are at Google I.O. who are American citizens can pay $1,500 for their own dev kit, which will come with the actual
So
glasses.
I've heard they're about 2 years away from
he says
market release.
he says
right?
2014 for the public.
Okay.
That's Sergey Brin
Yeah.
officially
Though I
saying.
think technology will move a long way beyond that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the whole idea of having a heads-up display on glasses is just so uber geeky.
Yeah.
It's so
I am
science
so
fiction-y.
keen.
And I'd
Really?
definitely love to have
You'd
one.
have to buy glasses.
But it's not a mass market.
No.
It's not a mass market or a mass
Yeah.
appeal thing.
Well-
and right now, it's just proof of concept.
know,
I mean,
from-
they had all the electronics in their
Yeah.
backpack.
Yeah,
This
you have
doesn't
to have
show.
an Android phone tethered to it.
Yeah.
It uses the Android phone's
Sure.
processor.
You know, for me, I think, all of those world made of glass concept videos and those Microsoft productivity ones where
Yeah.
all of the surfaces in your home start to become living surfaces.
Yeah.
I can go with that. I can go with, you've got a chip on you somewhere that is communicating and storing all of your information. You've got your fuel band, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm
these
not
two have already
wearing a
been
chip.
tagged.
But I
We've been
can't.
tagged.
You have,
Yeah.
and I can't. Or we'll get them inserted under our skin, whatever it might be. But I can't see a world in which people like my mother would want to wear glasses, showing them their RSS feed
that's
all
why
day.
I think it's proof of concept. And
Yeah.
what it does do, it starts extending the whole social graph
Right.
to a very personal social graph.
Yeah. Yeah.
From a point of view of it knows where you are, it's feeding you and refeeding you information
But our phones
continuously.
do that. It's just that I can put it away and not look
But
at it.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
form factor might not happen, but I think as proof of concept of where technology is going and the usefulness,
Yeah.
in terms of how it's going. I believe in 3 years' time, phones will look very different to the way they look now.
Sure.
And they may actually be a tiny little thing which you just pop behind your ear.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
like we all look like Dr. Spock. But it won't be quite as Spocky as that.
Aw.
But
One can
I'm
hope.
sure,
Dr. Spock.
I promise you'll be able to
They'll
buy the
make ones
Dr.
just for
Spock
me.
version.
little cover.
The Star Trek communicator version.
That's what I want.
But
Branding.
it's just such a great proof of where things are going and how you can share your life through technology and how technology is going to connect us all in ways that we can't even begin to imagine. And they sat around, a whole bunch of geeks, and I thought, how do we do this? And they came up with the glasses with cameras and heads-up displays. I mean, it's pure science fiction.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it, but I don't think it's mainstream.
I think it's gimmicky.
It's
Yeah.
It's going to be
super
so
You
much.
go around
super
the whole day
gimmicky,
thinking
yeah.
you're a fighter pilot, though. That is just the coolest thing. You got your HUD and
You could have these great layers you could put on. Like you could put on a skin of I'm now on the moon.
And then they go dark, the glasses, and start showing you movies. Can you imagine people walking into
It's
the
just-
front of buses?
Can you imagine you're driving and Google serves up an ad right in front of your face? You plow
Would you
into the
like
lady.
local bus tickets?
Exactly.
KFC's off to the left.
Yeah,
It's going to get a bit invasive.
But I don't think, I think it's a fantastic
Sure.
idea, but I don't think it's going to
kind
become
of just reminds
mainstream.
me. Remember, I mean, I think it was even from the 80s, no, earlier than the 80s. Those virtual reality gaming consoles that were going to
Absolutely.
be
well,
the
Sony at CES
Sony have brought
showed,
them
yeah,
out.
yeah.
showed a little headset which you plug on. It's got quite high-end Sony headphones.
Yeah.
It's got a little screen. It's got a screen and it's 3D. So it's a headset which you plug on and sit on your couch like this, watching nothing but with your headset on. It's
And
very,
the way they
very,
fooled it is it looks like you're watching a screen about 3 meters away.
Oh, interesting.
So
Yeah.
you're totally
Until
immersed.
something creeps up at you.
Well, if someone taps you on the shoulder, you're going to die of a heart
freak
attack.
out.
For sure, horror movies are nothing.
totally
Not a great
immersive.
idea. I'm just going to take a minute quickly to thank our other sponsor, who's Sharp Interactive. They've just released a really cool new interactive whiteboard, and Dave and I were speculating earlier before we started streaming tonight about all the cool things you could do with an interactive whiteboard. I'd still say if you have a bat cave, it's sort of the ultimate accessory. But I mean, great if you're in an
Bat
office
cave.
environment. You can obviously video conference someone in. You can share your screen and your notes and all of that sort of thing. And again, because you all love free things, Sharp Interactive is also giving away one of their interactive LED monitors every week.
So not a bat cave.
Not the bat caves. You have to
You have to
not
provide your
included.
own bat cave.
Bat
Yes,
cave not included.
unfortunately. But still very cool. And if you want more information about that, just head off to sharpinteractive.co.za and you will be able to find out all about the super cool interactive Sharp whiteboard. Cool. Okay, so I've been saving this one for the end because I think we've all probably been discussing this ad nauseum, quite literally, over the past week. But let's talk about internet radio and fabricated listener figures. So to our listeners in the States or everywhere else, South Africa's had a little bit of a, how can we say this? A fracas over the past week.
Big word.
Yeah.
Decent word.
So, two of South Africa's largest, the industry's still very small here. So, Two Oceans Vibe Radio and Balls, who are sort of two of the largest
Still
online.
feels funny to say that.
I know.
On
you can't-
air.
You try and say the Z, Balls. Anyway, so they were both claiming listenership figures of around 60,000 listeners an hour, and we're publishing these on their rate cards and kind of selling advertising on this basis. Sort of. Two Oceans Vibe sort of have kept the same rate from even before they've had these stats. And a local IT crusader for the truth and science and audited statistics, Sean, published a report last week in which he pointed out that these figures just can't possibly be true. The reasons were far more technical than I understood, went totally over my head, but were subsequently audited by Rudolph over at My Broadband and hold weight. So it seems like the actual listenership numbers are more like 200 to 500 per hour.
Yeah.
So of course
In
this has
fact,
opened
I
up.
think there was an apology today by
Yeah.
the presenter of Balls Radio to Sean, which was quite amusing because while he was apologizing and all the Twitter traffic was going around about how he's going to apologize, 269 people were listening.
Yeah, of course all the jokes on Twitter are like, there are literally thousands of jokes we can make about this. No wait, just dozens. And so it's been going. I mean, I feel a bit conflicted excited about this, and I think a lot of people in the industry have been, because we are all very excited about internet radio. We want the industry to blossom and be great. We want people to invest their money in it.
I must tell you, there's a real deep issue that's been highlighted by this precisely.
Yeah.
Is that internet in South Africa is still absolutely dire.
Yeah.
You know, people bandy out, oh, we're hitting 20%, and we're now at 8.5 million people that are online, and the mobile broadband's going to take over the world, and more people are connecting via mobile. The stat is around about 8 billion people are connecting to the internet via their mobile phones.
Yeah.
But when you start unpacking that and you start analyzing what actually is going on, the vast majority of people connect to the internet, proper internet. I'm
Yeah.
not talking about mobile internet, but the proper internet via a fixed connection at work.
Yeah.
And at work, you're not allowed to stream radio. You're not allowed to go on Facebook for the most part.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do all the cool stuff that the top 100 or the top 1%, if you want to call it that, can do. So suddenly, that 8 million might be only 800,000 people
Right,
who
yeah.
are actually out there doing internet stuff
Yeah.
like the rest of us and like the rest of the world, whereas the vast majority of so-called internet-connected people
Yeah.
are doing business email, business communication, and stuff that's not related to the
Right.
internet in general.
Yeah.
And a perfect example is internet radio.
Exactly.
You're not going to stream internet radio at ABSA corporate head office.
Yeah.
That I can guarantee.
And there's another component to this, which is something I actually saw you present on about a year ago, which is the digital participation curve.
Absolutely.
Right? So how even
Absolutely.
if people are connected, if they've been connected for less than 5 years, they're unlikely to know how to use things.
Yeah,
like,
it's not an easy or intuitive
Yeah.
thing. In fact, the best is try find the streaming button on Radio 702. I mean, that's a really big one. One of the
That's a
worst
UI
websites
thing.
out there,
Yeah.
guys. I hope you're listening.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's difficult. It's not, again, it's too geeky. It's too, and then it asks you questions like, which player do you want to use? And then people get all scared. Oh dear, it's going to steal my internet numbers and my banking. And
Right.
then they just switch off and go home.
Yeah.
And you're not going to do this type of advanced stuff. The whole sort of learning curve that comes out of that actually kicks in once again on mobiles.
Yeah.
And how many people have gone online with mobiles in the last year? Millions. And they're not really online. They
Sure.
need another 2-3 years before they
Yeah.
start doing
Yeah.
the advanced things. So I think that in 5 years' time, as someone tweeted, internet radio is going to be huge. But right now,
Yeah.
I admire the pioneers. But
Yes.
it's not great to fool your advertisers.
Sure.
But
I mean,
they're
look,
in serious
it
trouble
seems
now.
like Balls and Two Oceans vibe. Balls had really on it sincerely didn't know, and that it was Net Dynamics who was providing the dodgy stats.
But again, they were probably just trying to justify their
Sure,
existence
yeah.
and their charge.
And I understand that, yeah. And I mean, I suppose the catch-22 as well, or not a catch-22, but the difficulty and the unfairness is that, normal radio stations have very flawed metrics for measuring how many people are actually listening to them all the
But
time.
they're pretty well established.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
they're pretty well accepted.
Sure.
And there's not that many in this country. So
But they don't have to justify
No,
their
they
existence
don't.
constantly,
They
and
don't.
that's a sad thing.
It's
And
an
I think,
excellent point.
yeah, I think advertisers at the moment, with online radio, sort of just have to accept that they are talking to very niche audiences, and that's the beauty. Is that
And
you
very
can,
committed. That's
Yeah.
one thing they really need to understand.
like our amazing ZA Tech Show listeners, we love you.
They're very committed. I mean, every week they go and find us and they download the stuff
Yeah.
and they listen to it.
And we don't make it easy for them. Like here we're having an issue with the live page this week. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm a noob. Anyway.
But there's no doubt. But there is a huge issue, and
Yeah.
there's a long way for the internet to go in South Africa. A
Definitely.
long way where it gets to the level of ubiquity that we see overseas. I
Yeah.
mean, 80% of America have broadband at home. People have broadband
And
at
true
home.
broadband, not 1 meg per second.
Even
Yeah.
no, in truth, the average speeds are not that much better than what we can get here, but it's everywhere.
Sure.
And you have the option of 300 megabits per second fiber from Verizon if
Fios,
you're keen. I mean, just what do you do with that?
Oh, I could
You
think of
only
some
download so
lots
you
of
live
porn.
properly.
That's South Africans with limited bandwidth talking. But in truth, even a slow connection
Yeah.
means you are connected. And you start
Definitely.
doing stuff that you just take the internet for granted.
Once you can simultaneously stream 3 different videos to 3 different devices
Yeah.
and still have someone, all of your phones on the Wi-Fi at home so that you're not actually using bandwidth through
Like
your
the
data
Telkom
plan or
advert.
whatever. Like a Telkom advert
lies.
that tells you should be able to. Once your internet connection does that without any, jitter on the line or
Yeah.
anything, no
Because there was
packet
no one
loss.
shouting in it.
Exactly.
No,
Yeah.
they weren't restarting the router.
Exactly.
exactly.
Once you get to that sort of like little ubiquitous connection that you just walk into your house and everything works.
Yeah.
You want to watch a movie, you find it on Netflix, you push a button and it's streaming. No buffering, no waiting, nothing like that. Once you get there, the excess speed
108, so
means
I could handle
nothing.
a stream. I must be honest. I could handle a 5-minute wait while I make my.
No, because I'd select from Netflix, make a cup of coffee, come back and watch. I'd be happy with. You can't even do that.
We don't even ask for that much, really.
We don't even have Netflix, so we
Yeah.
can't even do that. You have to VPN, which
Yeah,
adds like 2
exactly.
seconds of latency.
Okay, so I think let's head off into the scary quagmire that is picks of the week. Unless anyone else has any breaking news that they'd like to touch on quickly. Lara Croft? No, it's depressing. It makes me angry.
No further breaking news.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into picks of the week. Shall we start with you? Anything exciting that you want to bring to our attention?
Picks of the week. I don't know if you guys have chatted about the One X yet. I
Yes,
think
endlessly.
Yeah.
is it really?
I think
'Cause
Simon and I did why is the One X better than the Galaxy S3 in 5?
No, full disclosure, I broke my S3.
Yeah.
The demo one they gave me, I had it 3 days, broke it. Very, very bummed out about
Okay.
that.
Well, since you
anyway,
guys have
carry
spoken
on.
about
Sorry,
that
Brendan.
endlessly, because I was really keen to have a good rave about how awesome this thing is. But the
You can rant, right?
No,
Rave
no, no,
away.
I've-
Yeah.
HP sent us a little while ago the NV13, which is just epic. I think it's going for around about 13,000 rand now.
That's a Ultrabook.
It is. It's an HP Ultrabook. And that is a little powerhouse. And the biggest thing I found with it, yes, I think it's rocking a Core i5 solid state drive, all the cool new stuff that you want in an Ultrabook. But I forgot to charge it for a week. Genuinely forgot to charge this thing for a week and was using it with, I must be honest, I did upgrade it to Windows 8. Using it properly, Wi-Fi, typing documents, surfing the web for a week for about a couple hours a day. It didn't die. This thing
Wow.
just did not die. It's like a cockroach after a nuclear war. I think it was just going on. And then on like Friday afternoon, I got this. You've only got 2 hours worth of battery life.
HP.
Only got 2 hours left.
Of the
It's a pretty good. I don't know. I'd put that on a marketing
Just
brochure.
going strong.
Yeah.
Straight on there.
The HP Ultrabook, like a cockroach,
never dies.
will not die.
Does it come in brown?
It's a silvery brown.
Okay, now we can live with
close
that.
enough,
They
so
should
it's
let
like
Geeks do marketing.
Yeah,
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
cockroach approach.
no one would buy anything.
Well, just come back for quirk, guys. Yeah.
So that, I must be honest, that would have to be my pick of the week. It's just such a phenomenal device. It really is. And it's competing slap bang with my MacBook Air. And with Windows 8 in it, it was pretty close. I love this thing. I mean, we're attached. But it...
Do you take it into bed with you? Does your laptop have its own
No, 'cause
side
I'm
of the
scared
bed?
it'll fall off.
Okay.
It's
He's
a
scared
one.
he'll turn over and throw it off. But it's
So
right
no.
next door.
No. So it's the NV13 is just a phenomenal thing.
Brilliant. Good pick. Okay, Mr. Greenway.
For obvious reasons, I have more than one pick.
You had
One day
time
I'm
to
gonna put
prepare
you-
for this.
I'm
We
gonna
were
put you
last
on a
minute
quota.
additions.
Chrome for iOS because it's Chrome
Yeah.
and it'd be amazing. And I love being able to look at something on my iPad, switch on my laptop, and it's still there to be looked
So
at.
Chrome is apparently top of the iStore
Oh,
already.
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It took like 2 hours and it was top of the iOS downloads
Yeah.
straight away. The Nike Plus training stuff that they've just released. So they've released shoes with integrated sensors in
jealous
the
you picked
bottom.
that
Not just one sensor.
Not one.
4 or
Like
5
4 or 5
sensors.
sensors. So like the
Wow.
basketball shoes can tell how high you're jumping, how fast you're running.
Pressure.
If you haven't,
back.
it's
Amazing.
I blogged about it this morning. I watched all the videos. I pushed play again and
Like
watched them
minimalist
all
shoes, I
again.
think, yeah.
It was so fantastic to see that they're literally, they've got a training one which gives you little workouts and tells you to do the exercise and measures your intensity, and it gamifies it. So they're all adding to this whole Nike fuel concept. So you use like your fuel band when you're walking around during the day. You use your shoes when you're running. You do like the Nike Plus running app, and
It's
it
a very
adds
$6
fuel
million
that way.
man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like everything you do has like some way of earning points and beating your friends, which is fantastic.
Well, in one of
Makes it
their
awesome.
videos, this guy's got a fuel band. He's got a watch around his ankle, and he's wearing the shoes. So he is so connected that
Exactly.
he glows in the dark.
that
That's
Nike's
great.
going to start serving him adverts.
on heads-up displays.
On a heads-up display. But my favorite thing of the last week, I got to play with the new Nintendo Wii U, their next generation console. So I was all exactly like you were with the "oh really" thing, because I was like, why would you want something that competes with the PlayStation 3 and Xbox, which I already own? I don't need another same generation console. And the cool thing that I learned is that they're not going after... Yes, it can play hardcore games. It can play Batman Arkham Asylum and all that kind of stuff, or Arkham City now. It plays all the hardcore games, and they've got a zombie game where you can bash zombies with a cricket bat, which is epic
suddenly
fun.
Interested.
Exactly.
Suddenly
No, but
interested.
they've
And it's
gone...
out.
Yeah, they've gone back
Sam
to their...
bashes zombies for fun.
Sam bashes zombies all the time. But the big thing is that they've still got that fun element of gameplay that the Wii brought in, that your average regular person who doesn't game seriously would
Or
love.
have an iPhone or an iPad or
That's
an
where
Android device.
that's where they're going to have a massive problem, though,
Because
is
you got
versus the
this-
iPad.
Are you going to spend on
Exactly.
that?
Versus an iPad, it dies. But for someone who wants something for their kids, I was playing, Luigi's Ghost Mansion and wishing that I was like 8 years old and could I play this without everyone looking at me
You
like I
are
was
8
weird.
years old, really.
Only in
Yeah.
my mind.
Well, that's where it counts.
Exactly.
story.
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty good pick. Interesting.
I loved it.
Wii U.
I'm
Mr.
all
Ambrose?
about Windows 8. I'm
Okay.
going to pick Windows 8. And
Good
all of
one.
you who've downloaded the Windows 8 consumer preview, there's a great app called Metro Twit. So if you're a real Metro
Can't say that
Twit,
without anyone
I know, you're giggling.
So much
I'm
giggles.
such a Metro man. But if you want a great Twitter client,
That's on record now.
Someone's going to take just that soundbite and
I'm
remix
a
it into
Metro
a
Over
dance
and
track.
over and over.
I want a GIF.
Anyway, I like the Metro interface. It works amazingly well with touch.
Great.
It works super with a mouse. But the app, my little app of the week, if you want a great app, is Metro Twit. And apart from that, I didn't have time to prepare, but I love my little Samsung Series 7 tablet. So I know it was a demo tablet for me to play with, and they did say I have to give it back.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
well,
that's
let's
always
try.
hard when you get attached.
Yeah, and you get all attached to this fabulous computer thing with a dock. But my batteries in my keyboard went flat. But other than that, it's all good.
I'm sure by the time you have to give it back, someone will give you a new gadget and then you'll be
I
distracted.
hope so.
Yeah.
I'm working hard at it.
It's a hard
I'm
life
really
being a
working. It's
technology
terrible,
journalist.
terrible.
Wow.
But someone's got to do it.
I know, indeed.
And I'll suffer. I'll suffer quietly.
So I'm going to be sneaky and like Dave, sneak in 3 picks because I'm the boss, so I can. The first one is a little YouTube channel I uncovered by the Planetary Society, and it's awesome because what they've done is they've tracked down Bill Nye, the science guy, and they've commissioned him to create a whole bunch of brand new web videos about space. And
Done.
Yeah.
I know.
Stop
Yeah,
talking. Done.
Planetary
I'm going
Society.
now. Okay.
YouTube.
I totally forgot
Subscribe.
how excited Bill Nye gets about science, and that's why you get so excited about science with Bill Nye. Anyway, so if you
Is he wearing a bow
has
tie?
not, he is, and he has not aged a frickin' day, which proves the theory that he is actually an android.
One more time. What's it called?
He is Rion
Planetary
Kravaken.
Society. Yeah, he's like Rion, except less
It's with
awesome.
smoother skin.
No, it's awesome. It's great fun. It's very nostalgic.
Nice.
So Bill Nye the Science Guy. Also another more science than tech. I'm picking the Higgs boson. It's finally going to. We're going to have some news
Haven't
on
found
it
it yet, but we're picking
this
it
week.
anyway.
This week.
Are they going to find it this week?
No, they found it. They're releasing
Okay.
all the
All the data.
the data around it.
Oh my God, there he is! It's Bill Nye.
I know.
Subscribe.
I know.
Subscribe.
So just everything is okay with the universe. Bill Nye is on YouTube and he's still making videos.
Globe.
And science is exciting. So go the Higgs boson. And my last little pick. So I'm sure that all of you have probably know about this app, but I've started using it more intensely than ever, and I've been very impressed. Which is TripIt. And it's great if you travel a lot. What it does is it monitors your email inbox, and it picks up whenever you get a confirmation of a flight or a hostel booking or if you have more money than I do, then a hotel booking, and it stores it all into a really friendly itinerary. Recently, a new discovery for me is that I've just come back on an international trip that I did with friends, and I've never tried to use TripIt to coordinate multiple itineraries, and it was quite complicated because we had friends joining and then leaving halfway through. through, and it handled all of it really well. So great little app. If you do quite a bit of traveling, then TripIt will make your life much, much
I
simpler.
must agree with that. I've just got back,
Yeah.
as I
As
sort of
you
brag
do.
As one
about.
does.
As you
And
do.
I was using TripIt. I'll tell you something really interesting.
Yeah.
The other travel app I use is BlackBerry Travel.
Yeah.
And BlackBerry Travel
Blackberry.
was
What do
actually
you want,
much,
Scotland?
and every flight got delayed except my first and last. But in between, everything was stopped and delayed. BlackBerry Travel was actually much quicker. Much
Interesting.
quicker and much more accurate. So it does very similar things to TripIt. So if you've got a BlackBerry,
Yeah.
try BlackBerry Travel. If you've got an Android phone, TripIt is the business. It really does work
It's very cool.
amazingly well.
And
Can
iPhone as well. Yeah.
Can I sneak another?
I will allow it.
Will you
Sneaky
allow one
Steve.
more
I
Steve?
shall allow.
While I was away, Sneaky Steve had something fitted to his car called a Parrot MKI 9200. Love these numbers. Anyway, it's a hands-free
Sexy.
Hang on.
blue
MK Parrot.
Parrot
Yeah.
with 2 R's.
Yeah, Parrot.
MKI 9200.
Okay.
Basically a Bluetooth car kit.
Ah.
For the layperson.
Sure.
To make those right.
Well, you heard about this 5,500 Rand steal your phone by the police in
Yes,
Cape Town
yes,
thing.
yes. So just if you are caught texting while you're driving in Cape
talking.
Town, Cape Townians, you will get fined 5,000 Rand. Your phone will be taken
No, it's
away.
been
I think
confirmed at
it's- yeah.
500 Rand.
500, okay.
Yeah,
But
500.
they will take your phone away, put it in a box, give it a serial number, and if you're lucky, you go to, what's that place
There's
called?
one police station, I think, in the
no,
whole
it's the central place in
Yeah.
Green
in Greenpoint.
in Greenpoint.
Yeah, and you have to go pick up
And
your
you go
phone
pick
there.
up your
Yeah,
phone
that
there.
Like a
doesn't
naughty,
sound
and you
touchy.
probably get admonished by someone, like in a very
And all
schoolboy
of a
sort of
sudden,
manner.
your phone would have morphed into a
Well,
Nokia
the red light district's right
50.
there. Admonishing
Yeah.
could be fun. Oh yeah,
Okay, yeah.
no
Wow.
battery, no SIM card, no phone.
Yeah.
But
You're
anyway.
allowed to take your SIM card out of the phone
So
before you give
Bluetooth
it to
hand
them.
kits
Nice.
are seriously
nice people.
topical right now, and I must highly recommend it. This one integrates into my car. It speaks to me, and it's pretty cool. I must tell you, I was
So
very,
you are
very
hearing
impressed.
voices in your head.
So I'm hearing voices in my
How do you
speaker
differentiate?
system. Between what? My head and the voices?
Yeah.
I just listen
But
to
you
everybody.
always get those awkward moments when you've
Yeah.
got passengers in your car, and all of a sudden you get a naughty phone call, and you've got no people in the car with me.
No, well, what you learn to do. I just want to tell you, I'm on the speaker kit. Just
I am
remember
on
I'm Bluetooth.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll phone you back later.
Cool. So that's
fun
everyone's
times.
picks. Very busy week for tech.
Look at us all on time and stuff.
Yeah. I
Wow.
have German blood.
Ah.
We will be on time.
And we will ask the questions.
Yes. Yeah.
But no, well handled. I think that's excellent.
Great.
timing.
I'm really sorry again about streaming issues, guys, who are trying to watch us live. If you haven't joined us live before, then we stream every Monday at 7 p.m. on the dot if I'm hosting. And it's a lot of fun, and you can join us in the chat room where the Uber Geeks hang out, and they're very, very rad, so you can play with the Uber Geeks. And you can find us on ZATech/live, usually, not this evening. That's everything. So, Mr. Stephen Sr. and Ambrose Jr., thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, cool.
Absolute pleasure. And follow Mr. Junior on techhuman.com. Lots of cool writing. I moderate like mad. And
There's
I
my
even.
plug. We're awesome.
Does he
I
spell
even-
check?
Plug away.
Yes.
No,
yes,
no,
unlike my
I
Twitter
not-
account.
not
attitude
in
check.
TweetDeck.
Spell check, Microsoft does. Attitude check, I do. Because sometimes things get like raunchy. But anyway, especially that texting
Well, you
in the
just made
shower
me
or
sound
sexting in the
horribly
shower.
lecherous.
Ooh, no, not at all.
Wow.
I'm in the middle of this. I'm unhappy.
And Mr. Greenway, thank you for joining us as well.
It's a pleasure.
At Dave Greenway or on the Tech Duel, where you
Yes.
can read lots about gaming and all sorts of other things.
Lovely.
Cool. And I'm Sam Beckbessinger. The ZA Tech Show was made possible by Snapdragon. It's a really good name.
It is.
Snapdragon by Qualcomm. Win a new tablet or smartphone by visiting zatechshow.co.za/Snapdragon. And by Sharp. Check out the amazing new Sharp Interactive LED at sharpinteractive.co.za. That's it from me. Okay, night.
Cool.
Bye all.